$1,500 weekly. What does that mean? We'll come back to that. I'm going to take you on a little trip back in history, at least my history anyway. I started driving in 1989. And back when I started driving, truck drivers were living in the same neighborhoods as doctors and lawyers. They made pretty good money. The reason that they made pretty good money was, number one, this is the most dangerous occupation in the United States, driving truck. But also the inconvenience of this occupation. If you have a wife, it takes a hell of a spouse, a strong spouse, to be married to a truck driver. No doubt about it. It's got to be somebody who can handle stuff while you're on the road. If the water heater bursts, what have you. Taking care of the house, keeping the home fires burning, as they say. But also your children. You miss all those t-ball games, ballet recitals, graduations, birthdays, holidays, you name it. We miss them. You get snowed in somewhere, you can't make it home. You can't find a load, whatever. And I know it's easy to say, if you can't find a load, go home empty. Yeah, that costs a lot of money. I actually had to do that last week. I bounced empty from Laredo all the way to South Dakota, home. Because there was literally, number one, I had to be home by in time to service my customer on Monday morning. And anyway, as of Thursday, there was 3 loads listed going, and I had a 7-state search going up there. And I couldn't find anything in the northern 7 states going home. There were like 3 loads, and they all paid like $1.70 something for reefer loads, and I'm like, screw you. I am not hauling for $1.70 something a mile. I don't turn the reefer on for under $2 a mile. Just not going to happen. And actually, it's going to be more than that. So, anyway, back to my original discussion. It costs a lot of money to operate these trucks. I looked up some figures. The average one truck owner-operator, he owns 1 truck, 1 trailer, he's independent. Okay, federal fuel taxes. He pays, he or she, I should say. There's a lot of good women owner-operators out here too. Federal fuel taxes, we pay an average of $11,561 in a year. Federal excise taxes, which goes for tires, trailers, the trucks, $27,560 a year. And most of us end up buying at least 4 tires a year, so heavy vehicle use tax, registration, and fees, $2,921 for a total of $42,152 a year. We pay to operate these trucks. That's not including the actual cost of the fuel. Just incidental, servicing the truck. I usually, I have a place that I stop that charges me like $30 to grease a truck. Depending on where you go, it's somewhere between $30 and $50 if you're on the road to have somebody grease a truck. If you have a PM service, which is an oil change and, just looking stuff over, you can usually get that done for around $450, if you know where to go. which for $400, I mean, that's really almost cheaper than I can do it myself with the cost of fuels and oil, or filters and oil, I should say. But yeah, you have tons of incidentals that you have to pay for. Fuses, lights, trailer washouts. Costs you about $45 to have somebody wash out your trailer. Costs you around somewhere between $80 and $100 just for a standard wash on your truck with no brighteners, no Rain-X, no anything like that. So things cost a lot of money in trucking. There's a lot of trucking companies going broke. 1,500 weekly. 1,500 trucking companies on average are closing their doors every week, and not just the little guys with one truck. There's companies that have been open for 50 plus years that have a couple hundred trucks on the road that are going under, because number one, the freight volume is down for some reason. Secondly, and it's, a lot of people think it's just the brokers. It's not just the brokers. Some of the shippers have decided to lower their rates on the road also. So if you're hauling direct freight, some of the shippers are calling the trucking companies and saying, hey, we need you to lower your rate, or we're going to use this guy over here that's going to undercut you. Now, the English proficiency requirements that have just been set forth by Secretary Duffy and President Trump, those standards, apparently there's quite a few states that have told their DOT inspectors to stand down on that. Why, I don't know, but if we can shut some of those operations down, because those are the ones that are driving freight rates down. Those are the ones that are willing to actually haul this stuff for $1 a mile, because they're not making their truck payments anyway. They're not making their insurance payments. They're not making any payments. They're paying for their fuel. Any money that they get from the brokers or the shippers, they pocket that money, and then they either close up that trucking company and open up under a new DOT number, MC number, or DOT number, whatever. They'll open up under a different number and continue operating, or they'll just take the money that they made, and they'll pocket that cash and fly home to Zimbabwe or wherever the hell they came from, and they'll just abandon the truck somewhere in the United States. No hair off their ass, right? But yeah, that's a lot of what's keeping the rates down, and unfortunately, that is killing a lot of us. A lot of us are barely scraping by, me included. We just got a notice from our ELD carrier last week, or a couple weeks ago, that they're going to be upping their rates, which it's like $60 a year, but whatever. But $60 a year there, the Blue Beacons raised their rates on their truck washes and washouts not too long ago. The phone service carriers, Verizon and all the others, they're continually raising their rates on us. Fuel prices, they're kind of hit and miss. Insurance constantly raising their rates. Taxes are always going up for us. Shop labor is upwards of $200. I've spent $225 an hour getting something fixed down in Laredo last week. So $200 on up for shop labor. Parts, if you can find them, they're through the roof. we aren't making enough money to have anything left over to even take a weekend trip, much less a vacation. It's insane. It's really insane. You know, the saving grace for a lot of us is the fact that, you know, years ago we didn't have refrigerators or microwaves in the trucks, so we could bring the meals with us. You know, now my wife, you know, she takes leftovers and sticks them in a glass dish, you know, with a lid on it, and freezes them, and then I heat them up in the microwave in the truck during the week. So that saves us a little bit of money, but it's not enough. It's not enough. We need to figure something out. This message is to the government, and you need to call your House representatives, your senators, and in Washington, and tell them, you know, that these English proficiency and getting these non-domicile CDL holders out of the country, or off the roads at least. Because what that's going to do, see, the rates are determined by the number of trucks compared to the number of truckloads that need to be hauled. So the less trucks that are out here fighting over what little freight volume we have right now, for whatever reason that is, the less trucks on the road means the better the rates will be, because we'll be able to drive those rates up a little bit. So anyway, we have to make profit. We have to make a profit. And honestly, my per mile break-even point, you know, when I started as an owner-operator 4 years ago, it was $1.70. That's probably, I would have to go in and look at the books, but I'm guessing I'm over $2 a mile now on that, just to break even. So anyway, $1,500 a week of our brothers and sisters in this trucking industry are going under. Call Washington, everybody. Talk to you later. Be safe.